Hey guys, so early yesterday morning, I did a video just like, many fans, like me did when it came to basically AEW's, having the lowest rating, if you will, for Dynamite in the show's history since its inception back in 2019. And, a lot of people still are defending AEW. I mean, despite the fact that, the evidence is right in front of their face that AEW is not what it used to be. That what's going on right now is causing AEW to go right down the toilet. But the question is why? Why do they keep defending AEW even though they can see, I'm trying to find the right word to say here, even though they can see as clear as day that the company is not in a good place right now? What is going on? What's their issue? And I thought about this myself, because I'm sure a lot of people like JD from Off the Script, they're thinking the same thing, like why are these people constantly defending this company even when it's proven to not be, as, viable as it used to be, like what is going on? And I thought about this and I thought about it and I thought about it. And then I came to this, kind of conspiracy theory, if you will, because that's going to be a common theme here, conspiracy. And what I came to the conclusion of this conspiracy is that, the reason you have these diehards, these elitists, as they're called, defending AEW, despite the fact that the show is not, as good as it used to be. I mean, it has a few bright spots here and there, but not like it used to constantly. And I thought about this, and I'm thinking, what could it be? And then it hit me. It hit me when I saw something posted, as a thumbnail for F4W Online's YouTube channel when they were talking about the previous night, and I do apologize for that notification right there. I do apologize for that notification there if you heard a vibration. But, I got to thinking when I saw basically this thumbnail that F4W Online had posted for the YouTube channel talking about Tuesday night's NXT. And they mentioned something along the lines of, is Vince still booking this? And if not, his booking is still present, if you will. And when I saw that, that's when it kind of dawned on me, could it be that's the reason? Could it be that these elitists, these diehards, these defenders, that no matter how much, evidence you show them right in front of their eyes, right in front of the pupils, if you will, so detailed-wise and everything, when I saw that thumbnail and everything, and I saw them asking that question or even saying what they did, I'm like, could that be the reasoning? Could it be that these elitists, these diehards, and all that, could it be that the reason they're defending AEW, despite the evidence, even to the, most detail of details, being shown right in front of them that the company and the product is in bad shape right now, could it be that the reason they're defending it is because they still believe Vince is running WWE? Could that be it? Could that be the reasoning? Despite the evidence in front of them that WWE is basically on a whole new level. They're doing things that they should have been doing long ago, to ensure that a company like AEW, when it came into existence, knew its place, knew that, hey, you're not going to be able to get to this level no matter how hard you try, and you're not going to get the audience you think you're going to get just because you're the new kid on the block, if you will. So, so again, it made me wonder, could that be it? Because that to me is the only reason. It's not just podcasters and everything that, like JD, like what JD talked about in his video today or yesterday, where he talked about, them, still being positive about AEW and, the ratings aren't that bad, so they just can keep their position at these media scrums and, and all that, to me, JD has a point in that manner because there are those that are like that. But still, it got, again, going back to what I was talking about, it got me thinking, could, the reason you have these people defend AEW, despite the fact that the evidence is right in front of them that it's not as good as it used to be. In fact, it's almost downright terrible and unwatchable in the eyes of many people, is because they believe Vince is still running things. Despite the fact that the news all over, from Fox to CNN to MSNBC, to local stations, to national stations, CBS, ABC, you name it. Despite the fact that they have come out and said Vince McMahon is no longer with the company, he is done. He's not even allowed into WWE's new headquarters and the gym that he personally helped kind of design or kind of come up with the concept of or whatever, or he look at it as a second home. Despite all that evidence, could it be that they still believe he's running things? And that's why they're so quick to defend AEW. And honestly, I think it is. I think it really is, because what other reason, despite the evidence being in front of them, that AEW is in a terrible place right now? What other reasoning could there be except maybe they still believe Vince McMahon is running things, despite, like I said, the proof being in front of them that WWE is at that level where they should have been even when Vince was running things. They're at that level now to where to where basically when you tune in, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, they just they just promoted somebody to head writer of SmackDown and have credited that guy as of right now as being the reason why SmackDown was one of the best SmackDowns, this year, if not in recent memory. And it's like, and it's like you look at what they did on SmackDown with the Bloodline, with the inclusion of Jacob Fatu, what they did with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And then you take that and you see what they did on Raw with the Riot Six, what they're doing with Damian, and Seth and all that. You tie in that all together and it's like magnifico, right? Magnifico, filet mignon, well done, meal, 10-star meal, if you will. It's like you see that and you compare this 10-star meal of magnifico filet mignon that WWE is serving, and you compare it to AEW and what's AEW doing? AEW's basically, and I say this because I used to work in this, I used to work in this kind of a job category, and people do joke about it all the time because that's kind of like your first job or the only job you can get if you can't find any. AEW, instead of doing the same thing as WWE, is doing right now, giving you that magnifico filet mignon 10-star meal, instead they're more like, Hi, I'm Tony Khan. Welcome to AEW. Would you like fries with your meal? Or would you like fries and a large Coke with your dream match? That's what they're doing. They're acting like a freaking fast food restaurant. And you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that, especially if you're going up against the likes of WWE. And because they're acting like hi, welcome to AEW. I'm Tony Khan. Would you like fries and a large Coke with your dream match meal? Because they're acting like that, they're allowing the likes of TNA, even though TNA has a partnership with WWE right now, that's kind of helping them. But even without it, it's allowing the likes of TNA, to rise up to be number 2 again behind WWE, with or without their partnership. It's allowing companies like Major League Wrestling to slowly slot in and become the new number 3. Well, AEW ends up becoming the number 4, if not the number 5, behind the likes of, other independent promotions, like let's say, the NWA, the Billy Corgan-led NWA, or even major, or even mid to major independent promotions across the country, like House of Glory, who are basically slotting themselves in as the new number 4s. So when you think about it, if you look at a top 5 ranking of wrestling promotions in the United States right now, WWE, TNA. Number 3, MLW. Number 4, you got to tie it number 4 with You got to tie it number 4 with the NWA and independent promotions like House of Glory and Wrestling Revolver. And at number 5, you have AEW. And that's not good. That's not good. Again, you look at that top 5, and I guarantee you people would rank it that way. WWE number 1, TNA number 2, MLW number 3, tied at number 4, MLW, along with the likes of House of Glory, Wrestling Revolver, and other promotions like them. And that slot at number 5 is AEW. And that's not good. That's not good. Did I say AEW in the number 4 spot? I meant NWA. I do apologize. But like I said, top 5, WWE, TNA, MLW, tie at number 4, NWA, House of Glory, Wrestling Revolver, and other promotions like them. And right at number 5 is AEW. And that's not good. That's not good. But yet, these people don't want to see that. They don't want to acknowledge that. And why? Because they probably still believe Vince McMahon is running things. That's the only reasoning I can think of. That's the only reason I can think of. That they believe, Tony Khan still believes, that WWE is still being run by Vince McMahon. Yet the proof is right in front of him and everybody else that that's not the case. And I guarantee you, if he ever gets confronted by David Zaslav, when it comes to the media rights deals, and Kathleen Finch and the others that are in charge of that, I guarantee you, they're going to ask, they're going to ask him specifically, why is AEW's ratings down? Why is the product down? I guarantee you, if he tries to say, oh, it's because Vince McMahon's still running WWE, but he's allowing Triple H's son-in-law to run things, and that's why, Vince is still running things though, and he's doing what he's doing. What is he gonna do? Come up with some kind of excuse? Excuse after excuse. Zaslav and Kathleen Finch and the others in charge of those media rights are gonna look at him and like, are you high or something? Have you been taking drugs? What is wrong with you? Someone will point out to him that, Vince McMahon is not in charge anymore. Vince McMahon is gone. He's done. Someone eventually is going to point that out to him, and that hopefully that turns the light bulb up, on in his head where he's like, oh, okay, maybe I do need to step up now. It's like he just doesn't. It's like Tony Khan is not going to realize AEW is not in the best shape it is until somebody wakes him up and makes him realize Vince is not running things anymore. Because again, that's the only reason. That is the only reason, people would defend him and why he would defend them and why they would defend AEW. Because they probably still believe Vince is running things despite the evidence in front of them. Because again, because here's the thing. If Vince was running things, we would not be eating well right now when it comes to WWE programming. All right? We would not be getting that 10-star magnifico filet mignon meal, that we're getting right now. We would not be getting that, right now. We would not be eating at the fanciest tables with the fanciest, silverware, drinking out of the fanciest cups and wine glasses. We would not be doing all that if Vince McMahon was still running WWE. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. In fact, the one that would be doing all that, if Vince McMahon was still running WWE, would be Tony Khan. They would take anything he would give them and consider it a 10-star filet mignon magnifico meal. Because they don't want to, deal with anything Vince is giving them. But yet, Tony Khan doesn't realize that. He does not realize that, he and AEW are basically being the fast food restaurant of wrestling right now. Where it's like, hi, I'm Tony Khan. Would you like fries or a large drink with your dream match meal? That's what they're becoming right now. That's what they're becoming. They're not becoming, what they need to be. or what they used to be. I mean, look, I get wrestling is important. Wrestling is the core of professional wrestling, at the end of the day. I understand that. But there's more to it nowadays than I think, there's ever been. In fact, I think JD and Alex, just Alex Central, and others have said it best. I think they've all said it best. I think Tony Khan has outplayed his dream match wrestling card so many times. He's outplayed it over and over and over again that wrestling fans now want something different with that. They want a different kind of taste. They want a different kind of, flavor. They want a different kind of experience, if you will, when it comes to the professional wrestling. Yes, they want good wrestling, but they want some kind of substance to it, some kind of spice that's going to give them a kick. They want the kind of spice that, is reminiscing, or very reminiscent. I'm trying to find the right words to say. Very reminiscing of those challenges over the past few years, of those, those Pocky one chip challenge, or those hot Scoving 9 million Scoving gummy bear nitro challenge. They want that kind of a kick, when it comes to the wrestling. And Tony Khan's not doing that. He's not even doing that. He's giving them like regular peppers that are baby nibbles. Baby nibbles. That's it. Nothing more. And, by giving them that, they're basically going like, yeah, this is a nice appetizer, but where's the spice? Where's the kick that this pepper should have? Where's that kick? And they want to look for it. They would look, you look at the pepper Scoville scales, and they'd want to get basically the hottest pepper to date on record now because of that. That's the kind of spice they want now. Because Tony Khan has overplayed his wrestling card over and over again. He's barely played that storyline driven card to go along with it that should be his ace in the hole. And he has plenty of talent to make that happen. But yet he's not doing it. And why? Because I think he and the fans that defend him, his sickos as he calls them, I think they still believe Vince McMahon is running things. It's not, and look, it could be also that he hasn't gotten over the fact, it could be also he hasn't gotten over the fact that he had to fire CM Punk when he didn't really want to. And we don't know why he gave into that. Why he gave into that. I mean, he could have easily suspended Punk for an indefinite amount of time until he decided, okay, I've given him enough time to cool off. I'm going to bring him back and see what we can do. He could have done that, but he didn't. He fired him because he gave in to the elite. He gave in to the Bucks. He gave in to Jack Perry. And why? What did they do? Did they say they were going to breach their contracts and leave for WWE? So that's why he fired him? That's not how a boss acts. A boss stands their ground and makes a decision to where basically someone can still be employed, but basically be on a leave of absence because they need to kind of cool off. Kind of cool off, let things simmer down before coming back to work. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. Instead, he straight out fired him. And his loss, WWE's gain, and look what we're getting now. We're getting a program between him and Drew McIntyre, which could rival, if not surpass, his rivalry with, MJF in AEW. And I'm sure Tony Khan doesn't want that. I'm sure Tony Khan doesn't want to have to sit back and see McIntyre and Punk's storyline and feud, outperform, and outsell out, CM Punk's, feud and rivalry with MJF and AEW. I'm sure Tony Khan doesn't want that. But guess what? That's going to happen. That's eventually going to happen. And he's got no one but himself to blame because he didn't want to be a real boss and say, look, guys, I'm just going to suspend him for an indefinite amount of time. I'm going to let him go home, have him stay home. I'll pay him, but I'm going to, suspend him for an indefinite amount of time till things cool off, and then I'll bring him back. He could have done that, and and you know what? He might be in a better place right now. But he didn't do that. Instead, he decided to cave in to the elite. He decided to cave into them. That's what happened. And, I get that they could, and I get all that could be the reasoning. I can get even Cody Rhodes leaving before CM Punk was fired being the other reasoning too. It's like Tony. Have you ever heard of contracts to where basically you could actually lock somebody in? I know this is a bad business practice, but has Tony Khan never heard of a contract to where when somebody signs it, they're locked in for the rest of their careers with you and that, with the company that they are a part of, the company that you run? Because there are such contracts, if you know what I mean. There are such contracts. Have you not heard of those? Because I guarantee you, if you would have had Cody Rhodes sign that kind of a contract, he'd still be in AEW. But you didn't do that. You didn't do that. And whatever happened behind the scenes that caused him to leave, probably has to do with the Elite as well. That's on you. That's on you. The point is, Tony Khan needs to get out of his own way, needs to let somebody else come in and take over the booking, take over controlling and running the company. Because right now, the direction he's leaning in, all he's leaning into is a freaking brick wall. And it's going to be happening constantly over and over and over again, to the point that when he does have that meeting with David Zaslav and Kathleen Finch and their team, they'll give him probably, a new deal, but it won't be what he wants. And then when he asks, why aren't you giving me what you promised? They're going to point out to him, well, why aren't you delivering what you promised? And they're going to probably ask, again, like I mentioned earlier, a reasoning, like, why is your company failing? And he's going to try to come up with a reasoning, and someone might be there that says, that's a bad excuse, Tony. That's a bad excuse, Tony. And someone then in that meeting will wake him up, hopefully, and say, hey, Vince is not in charge anymore. Paul Levesque is, his son-in-law is. And the reason they're being successful is because they're basically, correcting the mistakes that Vince made, and they're going and tracking into a new direction, into a new future. Hopefully, when that meeting happens, they have someone there to, tell Tony Khan that, and hopefully that wakes him up. But as, stubborn-headed as Tony Khan is, it may just encourage him to blast WWE even more and make the product in AEW even worse. Because what? Someone's going to tell him that, and what is he going to do? He's either going to believe it, or he's going to be like, no, that's what they want you to believe. That's what they want you to believe. Yeah, because, Vince is still in charge. Yeah. Is that it? Is that what's going to happen? Because, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I wouldn't be surprised that he gets the deal, or gets a new, a multi-year deal, maybe not what he wants, maybe not with what he wants. But I guarantee you, somebody's going to explain to him what's really going on. And I wouldn't be surprised if reports come out that he's going to deny what they're telling him, and he's going to say, no, you're wrong, and this is why, And all because I believe honestly, as I said throughout this video, I think he, along with his followers, his elitists, his sickos, his diehards, and whatever, and whoever else, for his followers for credentials and everything, as people like JD put it, they are going to continuously, defend this company because of the fact that maybe those that are looking for credentials, they may not agree with it, but the elitists, sickos, and diehards, along with Tony Khan, I think firmly believe this, as to why they want to defend AEW to the very end, even despite the evidence being in front of them that the company is going down a shithole. Excuse my language, God. It's because I firmly believe, my opinion, they think, if not believe, Vince is still running things, despite the evidence being right in front of them and the news being all over and right in front of them as well, that's no longer the case. But that's just my opinion. But I think I might be onto something. Because if they knew Vince was gone, if they knew Vince was history, and they believed it, I guarantee you, maybe in my opinion, I guarantee you, those elitists, those diehards, they would not be defending Tony Khan as much as they are. In fact, they'd be calling out Tony Khan on the state that AEW's in. But because of the fact that he still believes Vince is still running things, they believe it. They believe it. And because they believe it, they're gonna follow through on it until evidence visually and physically is shown to them. Oh, Vince is gone. Maybe Tony Khan is, hallucinating. Maybe he is not fit for the job, and maybe he is the reason our company that we love, to the core is going down the toilet. Only then when that happens will they probably call Tony Khan out. Because again, like I said, if they knew that right off the bat, they wouldn't be defending him as much as you think they are. But because they believe it, because he believes it, that's the reason. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, and maybe I am, but again, just think about it. Why is Tony Khan so vitriol against, WWE when he should know by now that the guy that used to run it is no longer there? Why? Is it because they have CM Punk? Is it because Cody Rhodes is the champ now? What is it? Could it be all that along with the belief that Vince is still running things? Who knows? But that's all I can really say, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. Subscribe to my channel as well as hit the notification to know when videos get popped up. Also check out my other outlets as well where you can find my content. And until then, guys, I'll talk to you later. But let me know if you agree with my theory, my conspiracy, if you will, on why Tony Khan and his elitists, his defenders, defend AEW to the bitter end, despite the fact that they should know better than anyone that the company is not in the best of shape right now.